set the ball rolling with our first panel of the day, which is on video content monetization, landscape, no free lunches. But as I told you, we'll do have a lunch that is absolutely free for all of us. Well, DTH players have been losing subscribers over consecutive quarters, as we all know. At the same time, competition pressure is forcing them to invest in capex to be future ready in terms of technology. Now, on the other hand, if we talk about OTT services and DD free dish platform are offering content at vastly discounted rates or for free, I would say. The economy is also facing pressure due to inflation leading to low consumer spends. Cable is also facing such pressures. Now, so many questions arises in our minds when it comes to this. So first question is how to emerge from such challenges. The second one is how to reinvent the business model. And to discuss on this, we have the industry experts with us. So may we please join our hands together. First of all, I would like to welcome on stage our session chair, Mr. Anuj Gandhi, who is a media consultant. Please welcome, sir. Along with him, I would like to welcome our esteemed panelists, starting with Mr. Gurjeev Singh Kapoor, who is the head, distribution and international India Disney star. May we please have you on stage with a huge round of applause. I hope you all have had your coffees and tea, so please give them a big round of applause as it's our first panel for the day. I would like to welcome our next expert from the industry, Mr. Vynsley Fernandes, MD and CEO, NXTDIGITAL Limited. Please welcome, sir. We have Mr. Amit Arora, President, IndiaCast. We would like to welcome you on stage as well. We have Mr. Prashant Chothani, who is a co-founder and CEO of Travelxp. Please welcome, sir. And Mr. Prashanth Rao, Partner Consulting, Deloitte, India. All of you, please welcome on stage. And now to you, Mr. Gandhi, to take it forward from here.
Thank you, Karishma. Nobody wants to sit next to me. I will not bite anything. Thanks, Karishma. Thanks for the lovely introduction. I have lots of friends in the audience. One thing good which Anil has done this year, I don't see younger audience. They're all my age group here. So good question to start with. Just an audience poll. How many people have still cable or DTH in their homes? Raise of hands. I still have about 15-20% people who are saying we are off, so which is good. Most panels that I have been in the last 1.5, 2 years, and it's almost 50-50, but that's younger audience. So that tells you younger audience is away from the traditional business, but that is good to know. Let me, before I start, get some numbers. I don't know whether people saw yesterday we declared the world population is 8 billion, right? And out of which 1.4 is India. Roughly number about households in India is about 300 million, 280, 300 million. If I remove the 30% below the poverty line, you are still talking about 210 million homes. How many of them are TV is a debatable question that I have not been able to resolve in the last, I think, 15 years. Nobody knows exact number. BARC number is about 207 million. So that kind of relates to almost 100% penetration of, if you cut out the below the poverty line, so which is good. But if I take 200 million as a round number and work backwards, we are now looking at a pay TV of 105, 108, 110 million, let's say. Give or take 1 or 2 million here, there. We have still 90 million unexplained number in this market, and we have all industry experts here in the audience. We are still struggling how to get the 90 million. Let's take another wild guess of what the free dish is. Free dish themselves say we are about 45. Take 50 million as free dish. You still have a gap of almost 40 million in this market. Lots of cheating. My friend Suresh Seth is sitting here. He will tell some cheating on analog. How much? 5, 10, 15? You still have a big number gap, and which is what we will debate on, where the numbers are on pay television. I think the other big factor which Anil mentioned in his, and I think that is what this definition of free lunch, which is our topic today, actually came from, I remember this debate few years back on when you're watching ads on Facebook or Meta today, and they said it's free. And somebody came up with this thing, there are no free lunches because they are making money on you by throwing you ads, right? And today's AWOD business for me, it's actually not only free dish, it's also YouTube. If you ask me today, who's the number one media company? Because advertising is as much a broadcast or an OTT revenue as much as for big tech. It is the biggest media company today. They'll probably touch 20,000 crores of ad sales. Meta declared their results few weeks back. They were 16,000 crores. So we are, as traditional businesses, also competing for ad sales from big tech. So I think that is, I just wanted to set the base here and before we get on to our esteemed panel. So one of the first questions that I want to ask Gurjeev and Amit here. I was doing some calculation. In 2015, there is a KPMG report, there is an Indian television report of saying 175 or 174 million. And if you actually look at 2011 before digitization and then before the TRAI tariff order mandate, somehow the number was 175, 180 million pay TV households multiplied by, even at 200, the market size was 36,000 crores. Just basic mathematics, take, let's say 35,000. Today, if I just increase the ARPU to 250 and multiply by 105, it is 26,000 crores. So from a subscription revenue, we've lost almost 10,000 crores, give or take 7, whatever. Question is this real? Will we get it back? And I think that is the thing that will remain in everybody's, because that is where we are, as an industry on the subscription side, we've actually lost money. So I would like Gurjeev, Amit, and probably Vynsley, because they are in it directly. Where do you see we are going? Is it real? First of all, my numbers. And where are we headed to? Gurjeev? Yeah.
Thank you, Anuj. And I think you just set the ball rolling. The first challenging and a difficult one. What's the real number? And I think we all have been putting an estimate like Bark does, whether it's 207 million or it's 175, like you said. Let me take a stab at that. I guess the only two numbers we have for real is the number what we get reported by our partners here. And also the other number is on the connected TV devices. While there are reports which are leading and misleading and confusing, but the reports what we have from our partners, all put together, and also what TRAI listed out, it was closer to a 123, 124 mil. That also includes one-day active number. So I'll go with that 123 or 124 million. Along with that, connectivity devices, which for 22, my understanding, and this data is checked with a couple of people, internal and external both, it should be hovering around 18 to 20 odd mil. Rest is all conjecturing. Bark puts a number for 45 to 50 million for free dish. I don't know whether the number is 40 million or 60 million, but what we have recently seen in last 6 months, at least there is no significant movement on free dish. We've checked with our DTH/cable partners. They have LCOs, they have retailers in the market, some of the same retailers who sell free dish also. So we've seen the movement on free dish getting limited in last 6 months. Prior to that, during COVID time, I think they had a free run. And I think what Anil said in the morning, they were just going laughing their way to the bank. Along with, I think, free dish people, I think the viewers also had a good run where they didn't have much of disposable income and they wanted to watch content. I think free dish did provide them some quality content without any kind of subscription. So it led to kind of huge proliferation of free dish. The other thing, I think, Anuj, we still, like you talked about piracy, I don't think so piracy would be more than 5 to 10 mil at best. And that could be because India is such a diverse country, such a large country. You don't expect any and every nook and corner of India to have the digital signal running. You'll still have the analog way of delivery, whether through an operator or somebody is just kind of servicing a small market, a village. So my estimate is anything between 5 to 10 here as well. So all in all, an estimate, which is all put together, closer to a 190 million is what I think the television homes should be at this point of time. You talked about how the numbers in last 2 years lamented. That's a big concern, and I think we all, along with our partners, DPOs, we have been collaborating with them. Good thing is that the focus now has come on to how best we can get these customers back in, and the way of looking at business is very different now. It's more of collaboration with our partners. We haven't seen any kind of issues simmering, which used to happen earlier, blackouts issue and stuff like that. But a very strong collaboration is what we have seen. And that has also led to efforts being made to get these guys back on. My take is, in next year or two, we should see these numbers bouncing back. But again, there's a competition coming aggressively from OTT also, which is out there to take the creme de la creme customers at the top end of the pyramid. And we have free dish. If we don't put more content on free dish, I think their proliferation would stop to a certain extent. And that I'm saying it because if you look at South, it's not a very, very big market where the numbers have tumbled. It is just the HSM which has led to this kind of a leakage. So my take, in next 2 years, we should bounce back if we are not investing heavily on free dish in terms of giving and providing our content. If we keep putting our content on free dish, I'm sure there are enough takers who would love that content, and the situation could be very different.
Thanks, Anuj. My numbers are no different from what, what Gurjeev has said. You rightly remembered, we talked about 183 million pre-NTO kind of a stage around 2017, 2018. Cut to the fact that we're sitting on 105, 108 on a simple net paying level. The only difference in terms of reporting is, Anuj, that few platforms tend to report the suspended base as well. So you may get another 15 million from there, but pretty much the gap, as you said, 30 million is the gap where nobody knows where we are headed. Second, so I don't want to repeat forward on that, where are we headed to? Very definitely, looking at the trends today, if somebody was to say, 3 years from now, we're going to be, yes, we're cutting something in and around 80 odd million. Now, that could be the trend today. And what we've seen really after COVID is that people are really, really sitting down and thinking that what are they paying for? Do they really need it? A lot of chat has gone around saying that, you got to just pay for what you want to watch, MRP regime. So people have really become conscious. And COVID has really taught them how to surf content between a small device and a large device. It doesn't matter to them. It doesn't matter to them where they're watching, what they're exactly watching, till the time they're being entertained. What will it take to go from here? How do we win them back? I think that will be a part of your second phase. But all I need to say in one phrase is, we really need to unshackle the linear TV industry and get it out of the grip of the over-regulation that we have currently. Otherwise, the consumer doesn't bother whether, what price, what is it getting. He looks at his final purse. Today, even during the inflation times, the Ukrainian war times, 200 rupees is the favorite denomination of a recharge. The customer will watch 5 days and arbitrage it on a free TV, be it mobile or a free dish box, but he's not going to pay you a penny more.
So that, Vynsley, you are on the panel, somebody who probably deals with a lot more of direct and indirect customer base, right? What is it that a consumer today, and I'm not talking about the OTT or the digital consumer, that we will discuss separately. What does a TV consumer today, if he goes out, what's been your experience? Why is he likely to come back? Question one. At what terms he will ever come back if he's gone away from you?
So, what Gurjeev and Amit said resonate pretty much in the industry. But just to go back a bit, where did we lose consumers? Where did we actually lose customers, right? During the lockdown, the first phase of losing customers was not losing a customer of linear television. It was losing a customer who had more than one TV set. So we started seeing a reduction there.
Just a correction. And correct me if I'm wrong, I thought that started with tariff order. which is 2019.
Correct. 2018, 19. So this was a happy byproduct thereafter, right? Because it was kind of linear. So you started losing the second television. Then as lockdown came into play, we realized that people wanted, and you said it rightly, Anuj, that people wanted content no matter where they were. So since the lockdown allowed people to work from home and use, we're not necessarily in a country which has multiple living rooms or multiple viewing facilities, so that the TV became the center of the home. So other devices started to play a greater role. And therefore, we saw more and more people moving to handheld devices, whether tablets or any of that. I think the EY report last year mentioned that during the lockdown, I think about 6 million linear customers moved out additionally. So we do a lot of voice of the customer, Anuj, to answer to go back to your question. And one of the things they said is that as things get better, they would look to improve their package. Not so much as take another subscription, but improve their package. So after lockdown, we saw one more bad wave, and Gurjeev and Amit will agree to that, which was Q1 of this fiscal, April, May, June, where we saw a lot of customers actually giving up subscriptions, linear subscriptions, right? Or suspending, I'll use the term suspending. And one of the reasons for that is as the lockdown, as people came out of the lockdown and started facing the harsh reality of setbacks at work, in industry, etc., they were kind of holding back on renewing their subscriptions. But thanks to, I think, from a perspective of the IPL, thanks to the perspective of the World Cup, we've started seeing that in Q2. And I think it's a very slow process. And I think the question is, it's no longer purely linear. We've got to be able to create bundles for customers. So you have to bundle linear along with any other offering, whether it be, OTT is what the standard is, but can you bundle it with broadband? Can you bundle it with any other products, Anuj? And I think that is becoming a strong driver for the urban customer. Because the urban customer doesn't want to deal with multiple service providers. He's saying, okay, I'm great, give me OTT, give me linear television, give me broadband. As you move tier 2 and tier 3, I think the relationship matters in terms of, oh, that's my digital service partner whom I have a relationship with. But I think the urban customer is saying, can I switch on online and can I get all my services from a single provider? So I think I'm completely in sync with Gurjeev that we'll see it. It's going to be slow. It's going to be rather slow, but we definitely are seeing a positive trend happening,
So Prashant, being an independent, person who does a lot of international business and in India, but have a smaller network with linear and OTT, right? So you can, one of my personal experiences came from COVID, and this is a very personal thing. I was doing work from home when COVID started, right? I used to be in front of my laptop for almost 8-9 hours a day, right? And then on the side, you are also looking at your mobile for WhatsApp and everything else, social, etc. And by the time I would finish my work, I would have no energy to actually go in front of the TV. I've been in front of the TV for or a screen for 9 hours. Is that something that you are saying that as people spend more and more time in front of alternate screens, same as what Vynsley just mentioned, right? That TV will get impacted?
See, what we are seeing internationally also, I would first agree that the problem with India is regulation. And regulation is hampering innovation. Like Star can't do, I can bundle Hotstar with Star or something like that or whatever. Even networks can't do any kind of innovation. In Europe, where we have a large part of business, we are seeing a lot of innovation. There is no churn, there is growth. Our business has grown in India also and in all the international markets all over the world. The customer is going to go to the biggest screen available to him. If you ask him, where are you going to watch anything? If he has a choice to watch between mobile, tablet and TV, and if all three are available, he is going to watch to the TV. So if you have a large TV screen available, he is going to watch it. Then ultimately, he doesn't care how it comes. He doesn't want to, as Vynsley said, he doesn't want to open one app and then... So discovery is another problem. So OTT is losing in discovery. oh, this film is released, but where is that film? Nobody knows. I go in Netflix, it's not there. Amazon, it's not there. I give up. I have only 5 minutes to find what I want to watch. After 5 minutes, I want to go to sleep. If I find something, I will watch it. That is the consumer's habit. So what does that give us? What learning does that give? A huge advantage is in the distribution ecosystem which is there today, where the existing cable TV players or the existing DTH players who are in every home, they can aggregate all content and your internet together, which is something what you're doing, one OTT. That is where it, but again, regulation will hamper that innovation as well. So I want one connection, I want one screen, and the biggest competition to broadcast, or let's say traditional people like we produce content, is smart TVs. The more TV gets smarter, the more churn will happen. This is a phenomena which we are seeing. The smart TV penetration is increasing and churn is increasing. Now you're not seeing, like Gurjeev said, that there are no switch offs. We cannot afford, because the switch offs were the first wave of customer. If one customer wants NDTV, let me give you an example. There may be 100,000 people wanting NDTV. For that, they will leave that service provider, because they will find it free on YouTube. I will go with your example. When they go to YouTube, they find something else. They don't come back to cable. So what is the learning here? If a customer doesn't get one channel, it is not necessary it is Star Plus. It could be even NDTV. So he goes to YouTube, he finds it, and then he finds something else. He never comes back to cable. Cable is disconnected, because he calls the cable guy comes. So when does the disconnection happen? When the renewal is there. So operator comes and says, okay, pay me. He says, oh, you're not giving NDTV. He says, नहीं, वो पीछे से नहीं आता है, कहाँ से नहीं आता है, मुझे नहीं मालूम, तू भैया पैसा काट दे, तू लेके जा, तेरा डब्बा खत्म. So churn started where there were conflicts between the broadcast and the distribution segment. Carriage was another problem. That is why Anil said carriage fees have normalized. Actually, carriage is one of the biggest hurdle for the growth of the industry. I said this in 2008 also. If you cannot have your supply chain as your customer, is what I had said in one of the conferences in 2008. Because what you buy, you cannot sell to a person. Your buyer-seller relationship has to be clear. So even in the US, conflicts between the transmission agreements, so US and India are suffering, Europe is not suffering. In Europe, you said, I am a small broadcaster, I am a single channel network. You will be surprised, in Europe, large networks find me out, reach out to me. Deutsche Telekom, they reached out to me that they want Travelxp. They want to give 4K. They want to enhance the user experience. They want to give something to the customer where the customer will stick to their ecosystem. So another problem is the distribution ecosystem in India does not have great content people. That is, last year also I had said this, Vynsley, if you remember. Lot of distribution companies in India, or I would say most distribution companies in India, they have carriage guys sitting in content. You need to focus to have content guys sitting in all content, in all distribution companies. Because distribution companies are content distribution companies. So if regulation, we do our act together. If we are deregulated tomorrow, it's not 2-3 years away. I am telling you, by March, we will turn the game. I am sure Gurjeev and everybody will agree. In 3 months, everybody will sit down and say, okay, let's bundle this, let's do this. We'll start doing everything. That's where the opportunity lies. So how as an industry we can collectively go together to the regulator and say, you do hands off, let us do everything. आप कुछ मत करो, ये regulation लाओ. If that is the regulation, so the actually title change कर देना चाहिए. No free lunches नहीं, no regulation.
Actually, that leads me, Prashant, from an industry observer point. And let me give you so, everybody on this side of we've all been in the industry when TRA came into our lives, right? And if you read the 2004 first time when they came, of course, there were a lot of conflicts. That was one of the primary reason. But we were in an analog market. And one of the key elements that regulators said at that time, we are coming in and wanting to regulate this business because the choice to the consumer is restricted. And that choice can be defined as monopoly at the last mile, because that time there was no DTH. DTH was just beginning. First guy came in 2005. Cut to 2022, right? We have 920 million SIM cards active. We have 500 million smartphones. We have 25 million connected TV. We have DTH versus cable. And we have OTT with YouTube saying we have 500 million MAUs. Okay? So 2004, 2022. And now, to what Prashant said, let's look at me as a consumer. How much choice do you have? I have multiple screens. I have multiple things to go to. I have every choice given to me. Do we need a regulator? I don't know whether anybody from Delhi is there, but do we need a regulator? Why do we need a regulator today?
Going back to the place where regulation came in over here, there was a thought that, you know what, there is a distribution, there is also the broadcasters, and there can be nexus between the two, that one can give at a subsidized price to their own network. So the end consumer, as an end consumer, okay, Sun, if I have to see Sun, then I have to buy Sun next. If I have to buy Star, then I have to buy Tata Sky at that point of time. So there was this perception to say, okay, make it equal to everyone, the same price, it has to be provided. So that was the nexus where the regulation came into this, to make it available to consumer irrespective of the platform that he is. But from thereafter, when we have moved on to where we are at this point of time, where content is the king and consumer has got so much of choice. I'll just quote from a specific article that I read recently. The viewership has come down in 30 plus segment in non-news and non-sports in the linear part of it. So what does that tell us? So when you have to watch something which is happening live, which is like a news which is happening at this point of time, a sports which is time bound, it's happening now and I have to watch now. Linear people kind of go there. But when I want to consume entertainment at my own choice, I want to binge a series together, I want to watch something at a particular point of time, the way I consume content may be different at this point of time. Also, why I choose a particular platform and content is based on my interest and the availability of premium content there. So now this regulation, what you spoke of, to say, putting a cap on a particular channel that you can't you can't charge a consumer above this particular point of time. So if you look at sports channels, which are one of the corner shelves of your retail store for your DTH industry or a broadcaster per se, if you kind of go and buy rights of all the premier sports which are happening, but you can still charge the customer only this much, there is only this much advertisement that you can put on the television, the way do you monetize on it? So that will limit the amount that you can do, or someone will go and say, okay, I will do this much on channel A, this much on channel B. You're kind of pushing it across. Again, some element of regulation, fine, to kind of guard. Every industry has got us. In telecom, we have minimum amount to be charged is this. You can't go down below a particular value. There is some regulation on that side of it. Interconnect charge between two operators should be this. There some element of regulation kind of to guide the industry towards the path. But then, now, as we are all speaking, there is 2 to 3 animals in the room at this point of time. There is OTT, there is a broadcaster in the linear TV, and then there is free. And when you're bringing in regulation, if only one of them has regulation and the others do not have regulation, say for example, as a OTT, I can charge 750 rupees per my subscription, or I can give it for free also, no matter what is the premiumness of the subscription, or I can charge whatever price that I want to. Whereas in this broadcast world, there is a limited, what do you say, availability that I can do in terms of innovation. So pricing innovation is a very important thing for this industry to survive and thrive. Say for example, if I have to watch a particular cricket match only, I'm sure Gurjeev will be happy to give a particular match on subscription and allow a bunch of people to come and taste how this thing would be on Star Sports. So if one has to do that, then you should be able to price that particular activity and let it out as a product. One may say, okay, even now you can take the subscription of the channel and deactivate it. Activating and deactivating is not a product. The product is what should be available to the customer per se. So these are, and bundling as we all spoke of. So there is no regulation which kind of is there elsewhere in the world. If you look at UK, Sky is giving something called a Sky Glass. It is giving you Sky Q. It is giving you Sky this thing. And then it's giving you multiple rooms, Sky Mini Box. And then everything together. So we need to look at how regulation should support innovation and not curb the industry per se.
So, I mean, coming back to, Prashant, what you just said about, I think the key here is the pricing part of it, right? So, sure.
Spicing a little bit. You heard Vynsley saying that, bundling, which was considered as a big evil for the consumers at large. You also raised the question when NTO started, why suddenly there was loss of subscribers. You saw, I think, a huge uproar from viewers at large saying that I ended up, giving or spending 10 to 15% more, and yet I'm getting less number of channels. So what Vynsley and we guys have been now going to the customers which have gone away from television, looking at getting these guys, putting some hook to get them back on. The biggest issue which is coming up, and Vynsley can support me on this, is that I want more content. I want quality content. I think Prashant talked about 4K. People are saying I want HD. You were giving me all these things earlier. You've taken away everything. Now just giving me your basic service at 240, 270. And now I'm not even getting my English channel. So what good is the television anymore? So if you just look at the, I think, wrath of the viewers at large, he's giving up more money, getting less content, and bundling, which was a big concern or an issue being told to the regulator time and time again. It has now been very clear that the bundling helps you to, watch more number of channels, especially for the family. And television is a family entertainment. It is not an individual entertainment. You have 4 to 6 members of family who watch the television. And I think I just wanted to raise this issue of bundling, which was considered a big evil. You still bundle, whether at a broadcaster level or a MSO level or a DTH level, you bundle. So you can't just take that away. And given a choice to the consumers, he completely falls flat. He doesn't even know how to pick and choose.
I think that's, Gurjeev, it's exactly the question I was asking. Is pricing an issue? I need to get that 20 million right now, and I need to get another 50 odd million who've gone to free dish, right? Why are they on free dish? Because it's free. But there are no free lunches, right? Somebody's making money. Anil said, biggest growth is DD free dish. Somebody in free dish is making money, right? And let's face it, we are all business here. We are not here for charity. I have nothing against charity, but we want to run business. We want to make money, either through advertising or through subscription. Is pricing a big issue in the industry today, right? Can we go back to saying, let's get some foresight and some control from the regulator to run the business, but leave the pricing out of it, and let the industry between themselves decide, okay, how do we compete with today's reality of OTT, fast channels, YouTube, whatever you have it, and say, you know what, probably pricing is the thing that I need to manage. Is that a?
Anuj, can I just on this quickly? Sorry, Amit. Apologies. Anuj, 2 things, and I'm just going to quote an example of West where there's a huge numbers of homes which are getting connected on a television or OTT. Never have seen anywhere getting so deeply involved, I'm talking about the regulator here, on the pricing bit. Whether it's Ofcom in UK or FCC in US, they are there to give guidance, not to decide your pricing. And the question you asked, whether can anybody today do perverse pricing and take the wrath from the consumers? Do I have a gumption or a gall to even price a channel at an exorbitant rate and expect that there would not be any pushback? there is a huge amount of competition. While you talked about the competition coming from OTT, cable, or whatever, there is also competition amongst the broadcasters. You have today in India more than 900 plus channels operating. Out of those, you have 60% of the channels operating on free to air. And you have, let's say, 40% only pay TV. So isn't there a huge amount of competition among the channels here? So why do we think that the competitive forces are not there? And my take is we've been shouting on top of our voice that if you allow forbearance, and I think people mentioned about bundling of OTT, bundling of the linear one, I think you'll be able to delight the consumers at large, which you just kind of not doing it at this given point of time. So I think it's a big miss, and if we don't realize it faster, and if we keep going and complaining and telling lullaby stories to the regulator, I think we're just shooting ourselves in the foot.
You know, time being short, so you were bang on. In 2004, the regulations came in because lack of choice, monopoly at the last mile, monopoly at the top level, and stuff like that. The current regime of regulations was thought and crafted in 2016, 6 years ago. What has the world gone through in last 3 years alone is actually something which has not happened in 100 years. The regulations today do not take a shadow or do not take an incidence of the fact that digital consumption has changed the world in the last 5 to 6 years. While on one hand we continue to have a complete free environment, on the other hand we continue to keep over-regulating interconnection. We're not regulating what is happening at the last consumer point. We're talking about MRP, then one discount, that discount. We have conditions which existed in analog which still exist today in the modern so-called de-novenized environment. Now, the only solution is I kind of agree with Gurjeev, Prashant and Vynsley. Trust me, we are going in a direction unless until we do not bring in a systemic change of deregulating and leave it to the platforms and broadcasters to deal with their lives. If you don't do that, is it helping you in any case? If you're losing 8 to 10 million subscribers.
Let me then make it very simple. Assume for an indulge me, let's say there is no, you think, question is, will the ARPU fall if regulator goes out of our lives today, or it will go up? I think that's where the thing would.
So Anuj, I'll tell you, we've been working very, Amit and Gurjeev and all of us have been in the industry like you, right? 3 decades and over. I think the question of we've matured to the extent where we can sit across the table and decide what's good for the industry, right? When the NTO happened, we actually all sat together, all the key players. Suresh was there as well. We all sat together and decided how to go about it. So I think we're kind of old and ugly in this business to be able to sit together and say, listen, we can fix it ourselves. And again, I have one very fundamental point. Everyone looks for growth, right? Career growth, revenue growth, subscription growth. That can't happen if you're going to dampen the pricing on day one. And you're going to say, this is where I'm setting the benchmark. Why? For the greater good of the nation. No, but as an urban consumer, I may want to watch a golf channel and I'm willing to pay 150 rupees a month. Yeah, no. I'm just saying. But in a rural market, there is nothing to stop us as an industry from saying, I can do a sachet product, right? We've seen it happening in the FMCG business. It's not that a product that's available in the city is any cheaper in rural markets, right? It's wherever there is the paying propensity disperses, with economic, tapering, you automatically have a sachet model coming in. So I think we've been speaking about it that we need to have that. And then an urban consumer, I should be able to bundle linear and OTT because he's saying, I don't want you to put another device in my home. I'm very happy to have a relationship with you, but why would I not, why would I want you to only provide linear and me not getting it through another route? So I think the point that you made is very relevant, that I think probably the time has come for the industry itself to really sit across the table again and say, listen, what is it we can do to take it to the next level, right? That is the key.
The whole regulation started that customer will choose what he wants. Customer को कुछ नहीं चाहिए. Let's start from there. Customer black and white से भी खुश था, हमने उसको कलर दिया. Customer standard definition भी खुश था, हमने उसको HD दिया. Customer HD से भी खुश था, हमने 4K दिया. We are in the entertainment business. वो तो एक चैनल से भी खुश था, हमने 100 दिए, अब 900 दिए. So we are in the business of creating content and giving entertainment to the consumer. उसको तो entertainment पता भी नहीं था. हम उसको तो मैकडॉनल्ड्स भी नहीं चाहिए था, कुछ भी नहीं चाहिए था. कस्टमर को चॉइस दो तो वो कुछ नहीं करे.
We, Prashant ji, 50% of Indian population is post 92, which is born in content.
Correct.
We gave, now
So-
he takes
so-
it as a granted thing. Since I am young, I get everything.
So now my point is, if we are deregulated, then now the platforms have become mature enough. Earlier, actually हमने ही regulator को बना दिया. हमने आपस में झगड़े में एक चौधरी को बिठा दिया. अब वो चौधरी भारी पड़ रहा है. प्रॉब्लम ये है.
So if you look at the,
तो हमें क्या बोलना पड़ेगा चौधरी को कि भैया अभी हमारा सुलट गया है, उसका 2 रूम मेरा 2 रूम 4 बेडरूम बनाने का है, तू बाहर जा.
But Prashant ji, वो सुलट गया है कि नहीं ना? Even today,
नहीं, अपना
today
problem-
regulator will say, you come to me with how do you think this industry will grow and what will you do? I am not sure even today, and they're all sitting here, how many meetings between 30 people have happened and a common paper submitted to the Chaudhary saying, here is the solution. Are you okay with it? Let's consult, let's
Exactly.
discuss it, and then close it.
And then what could happen is the entire ecosystem, content, distribution get together and then spoil the consumer. तू भैया 1000 चैनल देख, 900 इंडिया में है, हम बाहर से 500 ला रहे हैं. इनफैक्ट ये MIB लाइसेंसिंग भी बंद कर देना चाहिए. बोलना चाहिए जो प्रोग्रामिंग कोड में सूट होता है वो डालो, क्योंकि इंटरनेट से तो सब कुछ आ ही रहा है. तो मुझे क्यों बोल रहे हो कि लाइसेंस नहीं चलाओ? आज MX प्लेयर पे कितने लीनियर चैनल चल रहे हैं जो लाइसेंस नहीं है? सैमसंग पे चल रहे हैं. मैं कह रहा हूं आप ये खाली ट्राई के ऊपर मत देखो. इनफैक्ट द होल इंडस्ट्री नीड्स टू क्रिएट ए क्राइसिस बॉडी. माय सजेशन टुडे ऑन द पैनल, एक क्राइसिस बॉडी बनाओ एंड दैट क्राइसिस बॉडी मीट्स एवरी रेगुलेटर. हर चौधरी को मिलो कि भैया सारे आप चौधरी बैठो, हम बैठते हैं, नहीं तो हम परेशान हैं. प्रॉब्लम समझो, उसका 2 बेडरूम था, मेरा 2 बेडरूम था, हम आपस में दूसरे का बालकनी के लिए लड़ रहे थे, उसको लाए, अब वो अपने बेडरूम भी लेके जा रहा है. प्रॉब्लम है यार. तो then innovation will happen and then Vynsley can go and say ये 1000 चैनल, 200 ऐप, 500 ये, 600 ये, 600 रुपया. प्राइस कभी प्रॉब्लम थी नहीं, उसको चॉइस खराब कर दो. कस्टमर को क्या प्रॉब्लम है मालूम है? जो नहीं मिलता ना वो चाहिए. मैंने बोला ना, कस्टमर जाता कब है? NDTV नहीं मिलता है, केबल बंद. मुझे चाहिए ये, उसके लिए कभी खरीदता ही नहीं है कस्टमर. अगर आप उसको नहीं दोगे ना, बाजू वाले के घर में मर्सिडीज क्यों है? प्रॉब्लम वहाँ है. You got the point?
So if you look into it, the problem with pricing is just not bundling and not bundling. If you look into pricing, the current pricing, if you look at content has 2 kinds of value: the premiumness of content and the time value of content. When you release a particular movie, you will go and pay 800 rupees to watch it in a cinema hall. Then later on, when it comes in a television premiere show, Amazon has started this right now. You can pay and buy that and then kind of watch it. Thereafter, you subscribe and watch it. It's behind the paywall. As time progresses, it's available for free to watch. The current way the pricing is there, you don't have a respect for this time value of the content. So in terms of this thing as such, that's one point. Second point, when you look into it, when you look into the overall scheme of things, you can go ahead and we are all talking about monetization of content as such. The monetization we are all measuring in terms of money per se. So money is not the only way of monetization. If you look into the current way of OTT monetization, okay, you are a good Airtel customer, your ARPU is more than this, you take these channels for free, I bundle it along with. He gets paid by the B2B and he gets through. Ultimately, he's not charging the customer. Can you do something like that in the linear TV at this point of time? So monetization, when you talk about, it is not just monetization by charging the end customer. There are different currencies. The consumer habits that I get to know is currency for me in certain aspects per se. So the aspect of this you need to look into. And then also the overall scheme of pricing has to kind of be open to allow these kind of innovations per se. Is something.
Can I just take 30 seconds? I mean, on the pricing bit, Let's just go back to our basic economics that we studied in school. All capitalist economies work on the demand and supply graph. The demand and the supply, and that's how the pricing is arrived at. Governments don't interfere there. The antithesis to capitalism was socialism, which failed eventually. People came back to capitalism. Now, unless until we leave the pricing left to the market, especially in this kind of an environment, I don't think so the unshackling of linear TV will happen.
You know, my thing with pricing and why I asked all of you on pricing. I was doing a case study on, let's I'm not going to take any brand, but let's say I want to run a SWOT service in this country, right? And I am saying let's say for hypothetically, it's 100 rupees. I have 5 million customers. So I have a certain revenue done, no advertising. It's an SWOT service. But I want to spend hundreds of crores on content, right? I am business, right? I want to run it in a loss. Imagine now a regulator or a Chaudhary sitting here, right? I want to regulate your pricing on OTT, which is what Prashant you had alluded to. Why is one segment? And I think that is the big problem. That one segment which is allowed to go free is allowed to grow free because it's a free enterprise and somebody wants to run in a loss, he should be allowed to do it. I mean, we can, not all businesses are going to be making money from day one. People run businesses in losses in lieu of what they will make, time value of money, right? Whatever. And I think that is where the big issue would be when you start combining. And that is why I asked the issue of price. So my last, before we throw it open to the audience, I know Prashant ji has talked about Europe and how he is, but I think in Indian context, we've talked about bundling. What I want to do is a little, crystal ball gazing ahead. How does OTT and pay TV, and I'm not talking about the free OTT, the award business, the pay OTT system, can they coexist? And how do they coexist? Right? You can talk as individual broadcasters who has OTT and linear business, or as somebody Vynsley how do you survive? Don't they eat into each other at some point of time? And how do we come with something which will make them survive? Otherwise, the way pay TV is going, Amit talked about going down. Probably pay TV, SWOT business will keep eating into it. Gurjeev?
Anuj, the question you asked, can pay TV and OT co-survive? Yes, they can. Right now also they're co-surviving in this country. Are they thriving and doing well is the question we should talk about. Well, today we think there is a headroom for growth on the television business we have in India. 1/3 of Indian homes still don't have television, so they provides an opportunity. Whether we have relevant content going in these markets, whether it's smaller markets which we haven't catered to, or probably the content is quite poor. I think that is a separate debate to talk about. Even on OTT, where we've seen close to 100 million subscribers being there on a total market size, you mentioned 500 million for smartphones. It's just right now 20%. So there is a huge amount of opportunity. And can we encash on this opportunity? You said examples of West. I just want to give another example of West because we love aping the West. You talk about markets in US, Comcast, Dish TV, Direct TV. All these guys are MVPDs today, multi-video providers. They are giving this service, whether linear and digital. They are all doing that. And they are making sure that the customers remain with these guys on their platform. That's the best way to talk about getting together and allowing bundling for the consumers. If somebody wants to watch linear, there is a service for that. Somebody wants OTT, there is a service for that. Somebody who wants to pay more and, like Vynsley said, wants to watch both, you have in-house, you don't have to get out of the system. So in India, I'm sure we would love to do it. There are a lot of operators right now which we are kind of working, collaborating with. But can we bundle at this point of time? The answer is no, because the regulation doesn't allow it. But opportunity, immense.
So, to the point that you ask, how does it work from a digital platforms operator, Anuj? So I think from the industry perspective, there's a lot of infrastructure that has been built over the last 25, 30 years in this industry. We've built such a strong network. The local cable operators, whom we now refer to as the digital service partners, they still have a strong traction all across. I think the term linear and OTT is linked to the content that we watch, but not the delivery mechanism. I can still watch linear television on without a set-top box. And therein lies actually the regulatory challenge that we believe is there. Because if I'm an urban city customer, I don't really want a set-top box sitting there, but I do definitely want to watch Star Sports, I want to watch Premier League live linear television. I don't want to watch it necessarily on an app. So I think bundling and OTT and linear television coexisting is something that we're a very, very big proponent of. We believe that that is the future, that customers should be able to choose. No one should miss out their revenue piece from the ecosystem, all the way down from the broadcaster right up to the digital services partner, our LCO. No one should lose out on the revenue, but the delivery mechanism should be permitted to change. If in the city I want to watch it on a connected TV, then whoever is my last mile owner or last mile operator and MSO should earn the revenue from that. And if I'm down in a village and watching it on a set-top box, again, my last mile owner, cable operator should be able to earn it. So I think that is the challenge today for the industry. It's not so much as in, can it survive together? It's can the regulatory framework allow a customer to access content either linear or OTT using the same device, and delivery becomes a commodity. I think the idea is, what we've been looking at also is, can we commoditize delivery? Why should delivery become the regulated framework? Delivery should be permitted for anyone in any way, manner, shape or form. And earnings should be based on the content viewed. I think that is the fundamental.
No, I kind of agree with him. I mean, Anuj, in India, every sector will survive. There is place for free TV. There is place for linear TV. There will be place for digital medium consumption also. Finally, it will all come to the fact that if you just allow them to be in an orbital of free space and compete with each other, I think pricing, packaging, bundling, innovation, everything will find its own cause.
If you look at what cable operators were doing, we were doing delivery only. So ultimately, even in the developed economies, everybody's internet speeds are almost same. Two providers are giving same. Now they are fighting. I am giving 400 channels. I am giving 4K. So ultimately, content is a top up on delivery, because I want entertainment. So you have to bundle everything, and regulator has to allow us to do this. And a crisis committee is very important. I'm again saying it because somebody will pick it up and then say, okay, let's do it. You can start it because you are now doing door play, so that could help.
So we are running out of time, and I need to give audience few minutes to ask questions. So whosoever is asking question, please ask Prashant first. He needs a...
Yeah. My name is Vishal Sanghvi. We are the Innovation and Business Accelerators. Before I ask a question, I tell you about the reason why I'm part of the conference, to find out the future alliances for the new business model, so customer get the valued things. My question is that government has make a new rules about 30-minute time slot for every channels for the social programs. So I want to know how it's opened the opportunities for the influence people, influence marketers, content creators, NGOs. So, this industry can diversify from entertainment to infotainment actually. And when also, thank you.
Prashant, you please answer this. This is your... correct.
No, so there is a huge opportunity. The new guidelines you're talking, there might be guidelines which have come where half an hour we have to devote for it. See, everything will be again driven, it's a demand and supply situation. If the customer wants it, we will provide it. And we are educating, like every channel, like if you watch Star Plus, they are educating people on what our culture is all about. If you talk about Travelxp, what we are doing, we are also educating about how beautiful our country is. So education, actually I could classify any of my content in that half hour. Whether you have an opportunity or not, again, if that could bring me ratings, otherwise I could give you half an hour at midnight, you can take the slot and enjoy. That is going to happen, just for compliance purpose. So opportunity will only come if there is an audience.
Sorry, somebody can give a mic there, please. Oh, sorry. Anup.
Just a question and an observation. You're talking of losing numbers. We have approximately, let's say, 20 million population in Bombay. Right now, I stay in a suburb in Bombay. I have a leading cable operator. And believe me, that goes down to somebody else. You know, one of the leading MSOs goes down to someone else, then down to LCO. As of today, I still don't get a bill. We are talking of the LCO having about 2,000-3,000 connections. So if you multiply that with all the LCOs, actually what are the numbers? It's just a thought and an observation if anyone could have lend light on this.
I gave numbers in the beginning, right? 1.4 billion population. If I had gone down with my list that I had built, there are only 60 million, which is 4% of our population, which is paying tax. Okay, so that's a larger debate we will do.
Correct.
And honestly, things have improved. I won't say they are perfect. Suresh is sitting here, Vynsley is here, you can ask them. If he has to close his eyes and say what was happening even 7 years back to post-tariff order, things have fundamentally changed. LCOs are not in the same financial situation that they used to be even 3 years back, right? I am sure there is lots more scope for improvement.
But just
and
an
Vynsley can
observation,
probably-
because I'm telling you, I'm from a Bombay suburb.
Anup,
Yeah.
you change to NXTDIGITAL. I have my colleagues here. You'll get a bill beginning
Sure.
of every month, 15th,
Sure.
whatever.
Sure,
Just let
really
me know what
appreciate
date
that.
you want the bill.
Sure,
You want
sir.
Annual in advance, long duration recharge.
A special
everything.
offer.
Okay,
Special
sir.
offer. Don't worry. Bundling, whatever you want. Don't worry about it.
And I don't have a DTH guy. He would have said I'm reaching right now.
I have a question for the panel.
We are just last two questions on this and this, or in that's it.
Yeah. I have a question for the panel. Everybody is saying about free dish, expansion. Nobody spoke about Swayam Prabha, the educational content that's available on free dish. When people are sitting in lockdown, probably the education is what drove everybody to get free dish. And now 6 more transponders are going to be added to Swayam Prabha. And additional educational content is coming. And 750 crores have been given to IIT Madras to develop DTH content for education. And Free Dish is also going to add more transponders. I was involved with the first build of the Free Dish, so I know exactly what they're doing. And why can't premium educational content somebody look at bringing? Why isn't Byju's coming into your platforms, or Vedantus, or Arora? Maybe compelling content is what is driving, because we had no choice. The presentation quality of Swayam Prabha is not as good as what your mainstream television content is, but the pull is that. And last I want to say is, last week, a tender was issued for 800,000 free dish boxes, which the government is going to distribute free. And in the next 2 years, they want to give away 5 million boxes free. Education, why isn't anyone speaking about it?
So Prashant, please take this.
So just a clarification over there, why education was not spoken in context of this, if we were looking at entertainment and how entertainment is being taken away from one place to another, or the form of consumption of entertainment by paying versus in free. So in lockdown, schools and colleges were closed. People didn't have access to internets. Free dish was a very good source of education per se, and then it thrived. And then, like all of us, we thought that we have to go to offices to work. Similarly, there was an eye-opener in terms of education can be done on a long distance as well. So hence, the industry has opened up. And I'm sure there is enough which is happening here. If you look at Tata Sky, it's giving educational channels on that. I'm sure everyone is wanting to give this thing. It's not that someone does not want to bundle it. When bundle is happening, everything will come together per se, and that's definitely a market which is going to improve upon.
So Suresh, to your question, it's absolutely a fantastic question. I must share with you that this is not something that platforms are not thinking about. I'm really proud to say that on Diwali day, okay, we launched broadband over satellite in Tawang, Arunachal Pradesh. What did we launch with? We didn't launch broadband over satellite. We launched education. We've partnered with Tata Class Edge, and we launched education. And what we did smartly is, again, this is really interesting for you guys. Having education one-on-one is expensive, right? I mean, I don't want to criticize Byju's or anyone for that, but one-on-one is expensive. So we partnered with a rural cinema there called Jadus, where 25 students can come in. We put broadband over satellite there. Tata Class Edge is currently running its studies there. One teacher to 20 students as against 1:1 or 1:500, and they love it. What did we do on Children's Day? And again, real proud moment for us because we believe in exactly what you're saying. We launched e-education, again broadband over satellite, in Pulwama, Jammu and Kashmir. Jammu and Kashmir, we launched on Children's Day an education program, again broadband over satellite with Tata Class Edge, again in a area where schools have a challenge because of the terrain and everything. They've got teachers teaching them physics, and I'm very happy to share with you later on we took some sound bites from the parents, and they said, we've got a great teacher here for probably science and chemistry and biology, but we didn't have a great physics teacher. Now, thanks to this broadband over satellite and Tata Class Edge, we've got a fantastic physics teacher from Mumbai who's doing it. So our platform's looking at it, absolutely, and that is the right way to go. You have to, going back, you have to bundle. So content is not just about entertainment content, it's also about, and like I said, that's why I said, delivery is commoditized, but you have to be able to provide all of it.
So I want to
Thanks.
add just
Thank
one
you.
thing. Why we talk about entertainment? Because entertainment gets you the audience. Then you give them more and more content. If it was so easy, then DD Free Dish should have been a big success story in South. It's not a big success story in South because entertainment is not there on DD Free Dish from South. So education is very important, but we have categories which need to be added. Unfortunately, we are still a entertainment staffed oriented thing. I think our times is up, so we can take questions offline after the session. Thank you all the panelists and Indian Television for organizing. I think the takeaway is pricing and Chaudhary.